Today I want to talk to you a little bit more about I Never Noticed, my journey through Alzheimer's with Mom. And I want to tell you a little bit about some of the story behind the book that I'm currently writing that is getting close to finish. I'll give you a progress report. It was my intention originally to have 8 chapters. I have 5 chapters actually done. I've started on a 6th and a 7th, but one that I have not yet started on because I feel it's probably next to the story of how the journey through Alzheimer's began with Mother and why it was such an important moment in my life in terms of awakening me to the events that were taking place in my mom's life and those that were taking place personally in my life that I was missing repeatedly, would be the chapter number 8. Because when you talk about the problems of a disease like Alzheimer's, or for that matter, anything about how we miss opportunities to get our lives in a position where we are better prepared for the surprises as well as for the delights that life gives to us, it's important that if there is a downside to the story of negative consequences, you can't leave a person who has a pain point associated with that simply feeling more pain. That's not the way great speakers and great motivators and great writers do things, unless their audience just happens to have a very morbid sense of curiosity and they like the idea of continual suffering when it comes to reading. There's plenty of that available out there, I can tell you, and there's probably more than a few speakers that leave their audiences shaking their heads and wondering, why do I like this guy? At the end of the day, for me, it's not so much that you like me as it is, what have I given you that you can take with you that's going to make your life better? Or at least give you a hope. There we go. There's the word. You see, this is the symbol of my story, the fuel pump. And the fuel pump says a lot about how the story came to be and how I saw the missing components that were right there in front of me in the story of my mother's life. But as I go through life, I began to talk with my friends, and in particular, my 2 partners who worked with me as part of this mastermind that I've been associated with now for, well over 2 years, going on 2.5 years. Mark Guy and Diane Longstreet had told me as they looked at the various components of my book that there are aspects of it that are interesting, entertaining, funny, sad, poignant, educational, different, awakening, enlightening, but for the most part, it's simply the story of all the things that I failed to do and what I've learned from them. But what can I give you? And the word kept coming back. Hope. Hope. Well, what kind of hope do you need? Well, thanks to Diane and Mark, HOPE became something that most of you know me well for. Acronyms. That's right. Letters HOPE. What can they possibly mean? How can these letters be indicative and representative of the sense of hope that you want to have when you close that book and you put it down and you say to yourself, I'm going to go back to that book and read it again and again and again, because at the end there's always the element of hope. Well, hope, first of all, requires that you allow yourself to heal. Healing is a difficult thing. When my father died in 2010, it was part of a year that was one of the most difficult, raw, and painful years of my life. Because my father was not the only thing that I loved that I lost that year, but he was the last of 3 very important parts of my life that I lost more through unexpectedly than through anything that we saw coming. So it was especially heart-wrenching because these were things that I did not anticipate or think about or consider as possibly occurring. And they all occurred in the space of 4 months in 2010. So healing is important because I had to come to grips with the fact that grieving is something you have to learn to deal with. And through grieving, you find a way to forgive the pain that is caused, not just by the ache inside of you from the loss, but the ache inside of you from the fact that you have a lot of what-ifs, a lot of regrets. And regrets, as I have said in previous podcasts and in videos, are the sorts of things that can cause you to fear and be afraid to continue to go forward and to make a difference and to make the kind of changes you need to for your life. Regrets can also cause you to feel guilt. And guilt is also another component of fear. You don't want those things to dominate your life. Because for your life to mean something, you need to take the pain that you suffered in the grieving process. You need to forgive it. And then you need to take it and you need to apply it as a way of giving someone else your experience and helping them to better deal with it when it crosses their path. That's the lesson I learned from the grieving process over the death of my father. But it is also the lesson that I have learned over the disappointment process of my mother's Alzheimer's. So healing is extraordinarily important for you to be able to move forward and help other people have a better chance to deal with something that, at least at this point, with Alzheimer's and with a lot of other diseases, is inevitable in its tragic consequences. It's going to happen. And this is life. And life is not always fair. But the one thing about life is that if you will pay attention to it, it's going to give you an opportunity to prepare. You're never going to be able to go through it without the pain. The difference is there is that modicum of hope that gives you that healing to be able to deal with it and then move it to the next area, which is opportunity. The opportunity that's given to you in the letter O for hope is an opportunity to help other people, to give hope to other people, to help other people in their healing process, to step out of your comfort zone, understand their lack of comfort, understand their pain, and then come to them with something that's going to help them deal with their pain, heal within their pain, and then use the same opportunities to touch the lives of others. To me, the quintessential hope message that we should all be striving to give is, how can we help people keep on keeping on? How do we help them keep on going? How do we give them a sense that tomorrow's a new day, and with a new day comes new opportunity? And new opportunities, when healing has taken place, are far more abundant because you're not focused any longer on the pain. You're now focused on how you can help others who are suffering with that kind of pain. The next thing is, of course, what it would do for you personally. The P in hope is personal. Personal is a lot of things. It's your performance. It's your purpose. It's your pride. It's your perspective. It's your power. But it can also be a place where you can break down and become pitiful and purposeless unless you understand the healing process and the opportunity process and look at it from a personal perspective of letting it power you to move forward and to make change and to be better and to help make the lives of other people better through change. You have a personal obligation to yourself and to your fellow man to give out of a heart that understands not just from compassion and sympathy, but understands from a word that I really believe means a significant amount, and that is the word empathy. The ability to put on the shoes of the one suffering and to walk in those shoes and know how they feel. To me, that's a sign of hope, because you become that hope. You become that agent, that personal partner in helping them to pull out of the rut they're in and move forward. And finally, the letter E, enlightened engagement. The longer I live and the more that is revealed to me and the more I see the winks that life gives to me, I call them God winks, you can call them whatever you want to, but as I've said before, life has plenty of information it wants to give to you, and I don't believe that anything happens completely by accident. I think there's a purpose and a plan in why things happen in the way that they do. Life is not just a random hodgepodge of things being thrown together and then boom, you have an explosive moment. Oh yeah, there's a formula for that, and there's a combination of factors that can create a catalyst, and you can have what we call critical mass. But at the end of the day, the truth is, engaged enlightenment is nothing more than taking the things that you've learned through your healing process and through the opportunities that have been given to you and through the personal preparation that you have made about your life and moving forward in a positive direction. And then you can take that enlightenment that you've received, and now you have the opportunity to engage the people that you come in contact with in the world. Sounds like a long drawn out story, but if you're writing this down on a piece of paper like I have done, and I've got HOPE on this right here, and I've got this healing opportunities and personal enlightenment, all these things here say very clearly to me and say to you that no matter what the struggle is that you're in right now, and the journey that you're on right now, and the seeming hopelessness of it, there's something in there for you that you can gain from. And even in your pain, you can learn from it, and you become a hope to someone else. You see, there's hope on the other side of pain, and that hope is what you have gained from the pain, you now turn around and help others to grow from and out of that same pain, and they get healing, they find opportunities, they take their personal lives, and they move forward, and they learn the importance of the enlightenment and the lessons that they've gotten from it, and they engage the world they live in as a positive force for change instead of a negative force that is doing nothing but crying out in its agony and saying someone needs to suffer for the suffering I've been through. It's time for us to get off of this perpetual wagon of feeling sorry for ourselves. We don't have any reason to feel sorry. Because as I look at the life, the very fact that I'm vertical every day when I get out of bed, that I'm taking in air, that I'm breathing, that I'm reasonably healthy, that I still have my capacity to think, that I have my skills, that I have had lessons in life that have helped me to grow and to know and to learn and to have knowledge that I never thought I was capable of. And I could talk all day about that, but the thing I'm trying to tell you is that I have hope. And that hope is grounded not in the fact that my mother has an incurable disease. My hope is grounded in the fact that, one, they'll find a cure for the disease one way or the other. Whether I'm alive or not, we'll find a cure. And my hope is also grounded in the fact that the lessons I'm learning from Mother I can share with you. So while you're going through a struggle, you've got somebody who's walking that path with you. You should never go through your struggle without a friend. You should never go through your pain without someone who knows how that pain feels but has healed and has come out on the other side and has learned and is willing to engage and encourage you. I have a mission. How long I'm granted to work on that mission, only time will tell. What I do know this, the fact is, I am surrounded by a great host of friends. I'm surrounded by people who have been there for me when I was hurting, and I have been honored to be there with them when they hurt. And together we have been giving each other hope and encouragement. We have been giving each other purpose and opportunity. We have been living our lives so as to show the world there is a better way. And there is still a better day ahead. This is John Morrow reminding you, no matter what kind of day you've had today or in the days past, never, never, never forget, your best days are still ahead. Because you have hope. Have a good day.